In this video, I'm going to show you step by step on how to replace the coils and the spark plugs in this Nissan Xterra. This happens to be a 2008, but I believe it's about the same from 2005 to 2015. Now this is going to work for any Nissan with a 4.0 liter V6, the Pathfinder and the Frontier. You don't have to remove the intake manifold if you have a couple special tools. So this is going to save you a lot of time and money. So let's get started. Once you got the hood open, you can see that on the driver's side, it's fairly easy. Now I like to do all the easy ones first, so there's 4 of them that are really easy and 2 that are kind of a pain in the butt. I just like to kind of trick my brain into thinking I'm more than halfway done and I'm actually getting something done, even though the last 2 are going to take a little more time. Let's go ahead and get the driver's side done. I personally only use NGK spark plugs and NGK coils and NTK O2 sensors. I think they're some of the best products you can get. Now you can buy these Nissan spark plugs for this vehicle, but they are made by NGK. So the coil part number is going to be U5112 and the NGK part number is going to be DILFR5A11. I'll put links in the description below on how to buy all this off Amazon. Have it show up at your doorstep in 1 to 2 days. Driver's side of the engine, you'll see the 3 coils. We have one there, one there, one there. We do have an electrical connection on each one, and you have a 10mm screw to loosen up for each coil. So let's go ahead and get this side done. Connector on the coil, you push down right here. It's getting easier to use a small flat blade screwdriver to push down, and then you just pull straight back. That's how you're going to release all the coils. To remove that 10mm screw holding in the coil, so I have a 10mm socket and a long extension, so we'll go ahead and remove that screw. Now to remove the coil, I like to just wiggle back and forth a little bit while pulling straight up. And the coil should come straight out, just like that. Now you're going to need a 16mm spark plug wrench, and these are kind of a special spark plug wrench because they'll hold the spark plug in place. They have a little retainer in there so the spark plug doesn't fall out when you put the new one in. Now we're going to turn counterclockwise and take the spark plug out, and the spark plug should be stuck inside that socket. It should come right out with it. Once you get it fairly loose, you can go ahead and just spin the rest out with your hands. New spark plug, inspect it, make sure the ceramic coating is not cracked. If they were shipped to you, they could have been dropped somewhere. If it looks good, you're going to use a gap gauge and set the gap to 44 thousandths. Now this special spark plug socket is magnetic, so when I insert the spark plug, as you can see, it kind of sucked itself in there. And when I go down into the hole, the spark plug is not going to fall out. And now we're just going to turn this clockwise till we get it hand tight. And if you have a torque wrench, we're going to set it to 18 foot-pounds. Have a torque wrench. Once you get kind of semi-tight, you're going to turn it to about 1/4 to 1/2 a turn. Now we're going to install the new NGK coil, and these coils do come pre-greased, so there's no reason to put any more grease on the end of the coil. If you're putting your old coils in, you might want to put a little dielectric grease on the inside of them. Now I just push the coil straight down and we'll reinstall the 10mm screw. Screw that holds in the coil, the torque spec is 9 foot-pounds, or I just kind of get them hand tight and then go about 1/8 of a turn. You don't want to crack that coil. Now that we have that first one done, you can see that that second one and the third one there back at the firewall is going to be basically the same thing. You just need to push these wires right here out of your way a little bit, and these will be done in about 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and finish up this driver's side. Really helpful to have is one of these 16mm magnetic spark plug sockets, and it has a swivel head on it. As you can see, I can put this in here at all different kinds of angles, and that's what makes this job a lot easier. At this point, I have the whole driver's side done, so my brain is thinking I'm at least halfway done. So we're kind of moving at some momentum here. Now before I go to the other side, I'm going to start the vehicle up and make sure that it runs fine. I don't want to hear any weird noises or something out of the ordinary. If you change all the coils and all the spark plugs and you go start the car up and something is not working right, you have no idea where it could be. So if there is something wrong, something sounds off, I can tell that it's going to be on the driver's side because there was no issues before. Now that I know the engine runs great, I can tell it's a little smoother and better already. I know I can move to the passenger side. So if there is a problem later, we're going to know it's on the passenger side. Passenger side, you have this one here all the way back at the firewall. That one there is another simple one. That one will be done in 5 minutes. And then as we come up here, we're going to kind of be working down in this kind of a horseshoe slot. You can see my finger right here. That is the second coil with the plug here. And then that one right there is going to be the last one. This one here is probably the most tricky. But we're going to go ahead and get this side changed, and we're not going to have to take off this intake plenum. So let's go ahead and do this one back here at the firewall. Long extension, 10 millimeter. We're going to loosen up that screw holding the coil in. Just make sure you don't drop that screw. I'm just going to loosen it up with my fingers, reach down in there and grab it. This one back here, you do have to kind of wiggle and finagle it out a little bit. And then using that same swivel spark plug wrench, put that right down in there. And we're going to need to add an extension right here to get our ratchet on. Having the magnetic socket is really going to help, because if you didn't have that, your spark plug would be dropping down into the hole, and you don't want that to happen because it could close up the gap. Go ahead and install our new NGK coil. So I've got that spark plug and that coil on. That's the one closest to the firewall passenger side. That one's not too bad at all. The next one, you can see the screw right there holding the coil in. That's easy to get out. But to get the electrical connector off, you're going to come up here and you're going to go down through this hole. Then take a flathead screwdriver. You can see I already have it disconnected right here. Push down on this tab and then just pull the connector off towards the front of the vehicle. So now that the coil here is disconnected from the electrical connector, we can easily get the screw from the back side over here, and then we're going to pull the coil out from this side here as well. It's going to bend a little bit, but I promise you it won't break. The screw out that's holding the coil in. And to get this out, as you can see, my hand is going underneath here using my left hand. And then just get your finger under that electrical connector right there and underneath. See where my fingers are right there? And then the back, I'm kind of underneath where the bolt mounts. So I got the coil about halfway out, and I'm using my index finger. You can see my fingers right here. I'm just going to kind of pull and use my fingers to bend this just a little bit. You can see over here, that's how I'm kind of gripping it. And out comes the coil. So you see my index finger? So I'm kind of pushing on the coil a little bit to get a slight bend in there to get the coil out. All right, so the middle spark plug on the passenger side, I have kind of a secret formula here of extensions that I have going on. So I'm going to go ahead, get this one loosened up, pulled out, and show you what it looks like. On the passenger side is a little bit easier than the one closest to the firewall if you just use these kind of tools. So as you can see, I have a tape measure here. I'm at about 21 inches long. So I have the 16mm magnetic socket with the swivel adapter. That's all one piece. 3-inch extension. That kind of brings it up to the top of where the spark plug goes in the hole. Then I have a 6-inch extension, and then I have a 10-inch extension. This is right here, and you'll see the electrical connector right here. So you're still going down through this slot right here. Push in that tab with a long flat blade screwdriver, and then with another one, just kind of push this electrical connector off. Take the electrical connector off before you take the 10mm screw out. That way the coil does not kind of slide around. All right, so now to get to that last tricky one, you need a 10mm ratcheting wrench like this right here. So you can get on that 10mm screw, back it out. This is where small fingers is going to come in handy too to get that coil screw out. Secret to getting this passenger side one, the one that's all the way to the front out, is that we need to remove the 10mm screw for the coil before we put that middle coil back in. If you can kind of come over here and see, you see how I don't have the middle coil in yet? That's because that 10mm ratcheting wrench would hit the coil. So the middle coil on the passenger side needs to be removed, and then that way we can get the 10mm ratcheting wrench on top of the screw holding in this front coil. Or you can kind of see the wrench right there. You could barely see the screw holding that one in, but that's the secret. Now we got to get that one out, replace it, and then we come back and just reinstall that middle coil. With that 10mm bolt out, you can rotate the coil just a little bit to give you a little more clearance to get this electrical connector off. All right, so now to get this coil out, you're going to rotate it so that the electrical connector is towards the firewall, so 180 degrees from where it is. So now that the coil is rotated so the electrical connector is facing the rear of the car, you have to lift up and then push forward the coil towards the front of the vehicle, and then that will give you a little bit of room to pull that out. And then once you get it sideways, it's going to come out underneath here where my hand is at. So the electrical connector should be facing up because you're going to push it forward like that, and then it will pop out, and then just kind of wiggle it underneath and pull it out like this. So we're going to reinstall the new one just like this as well. We're going to go underneath here with it this way, and then we're going to rotate it up, and then we need to turn it once we get it into place like that. Now since we don't have that middle coil in, I just have an old rag stuffed in this hole right here. That's just to make sure that nothing falls in there like that 10mm screw or anything else. All right, so here is another tip that's going to help a lot. I have this boot sprayed down with some electrical lubricant, and that's going to help this slide into place. All right, so now to get this last spark plug out, I have the swivel spark plug wrench and extension, and then I have a universal joint going up to a 3-inch extension. Looks something like this. I'll pull it out and show you guys the measurements. I have the swivel spark plug wrench, universal joint, and then 3-inch extension. Pulls it right out. As you can see, the electrical connector is right there, so that's going to be facing up towards you. And then under here, I'm going to push in with my finger to get that boot to go in the hole. Once it goes down in there, then we'll just spin it around. So now that front coil is in place, I've got the connector connected. That's kind of a pain in the butt to get that connector connected, so you're better off doing it now and then put the 10mm screw in, because you're going to rotate this a little bit and that will make the connector even harder. And it definitely helps to lubricate up that coil boot to get it to slide down into place. So now I just need to finish pushing this down and getting that 10mm bolt in. Passenger side coil in. It's kind of a booger to get that 10mm bolt in. Small fingers is going to help. Put a little bit of WD-40 on the bolt so it helps you get it in there, and then you can use your fingers to get it fairly tight. And now if you'll see my finger there, we need to install this middle coil, and that's going to be the last thing we do. Got the passenger side completely done. Just remembering, one tip is that middle one, passenger side, is going to be the last one you want to do. And now this spark plug and coil replacement job is complete. Now I'll put links in the description below how you can get all the tools that I used off Amazon and make this job easy. If you don't have all the tools you need, this is going to be a real pain in the butt. Probably the hardest thing is getting that 10mm coil screw out on the passenger front side, because you can barely see it. So if you got small fingers, or have a friend with small fingers, have them come over and get that screw out, put it back in for you. Lubricating up the boots on the last two over there where you have to slightly bend them to get them to go in also helps. Hope you guys found this step-by-step video helpful and informational, and thanks for watching.